It's Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid, which is a very well-known lyric from probably the most famous, or one of the most famous Christmas songs out there. And that is what today's podcast is going to be about. I'm going to talk about Christmas traditions in the past, Christmas traditions in the UK and the US, how these differ, and how things have changed over time too. So we're going to use a variety of different tenses and phrases, idioms, those types of things. And even if you're not really interested in the topic of Christmas, you're still going to get a lot from this episode. And if you're new here, my name is Jack from tofluency.com. You can go to my website, tofluency.com, and follow the directions to get my book, The 5-Step Plan for English Fluency. This is free to download. Just enter your name and your email address and I'll send it to your inbox. And while you're here, and while you're thinking about doing things, why not subscribe to this podcast or my YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube? And also, if you really enjoy this episode, then please send it to a friend. So Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. And in the UK, it's probably it's the biggest holiday, the biggest national holiday anyway, in the UK for most people. So it's a time when everyone just stops for a few days. They get their family together, they exchange gifts, and do lots of other fun things, which we're going to go through today. Now, I'm originally from the UK, but now I live in the US. Things are a little bit different in terms of celebrating Christmas, but on the whole, they're quite similar. I think one of the biggest differences, and it's probably a small difference, is that turkey is huge for Thanksgiving. So in the US, people during Thanksgiving and on Thanksgiving Day, they'll eat a big turkey. But in the UK, people have a turkey at Christmas, whereas in the US, people tend to have a ham or some type of beef for Christmas when it comes to food. Now, in the lead up to Christmas, which means in the days and weeks before Christmas, most people put up Christmas decorations. Now, this includes a Christmas tree. And you can normally find a real Christmas tree anywhere in your local area. People go to these Christmas tree farms. Sometimes they're out on a farm. Sometimes it's a stall by the side of the road. You choose your Christmas tree, the one you want to have. They'll cut it down for you, wrap it up, and then you take it home. Now, when you take it home, you put it in some water, you put it in some kind of box to keep it steady, and then you decorate the tree with ornaments. You decorate it sometimes with tinsel. If you're not sure what this is, Tinsel, tinsel, you can look it up. It's this very sparkly stuff, which my parents never really liked tinsel. And then to make it really magical, you put up some Christmas lights on there too. So this is the centerpiece of Christmas when it comes to decorations. However, in America, in the US, people go really far. They tend to decorate the outside of their house with big Christmas lights everywhere. They'll put up different types of outside ornaments and decorations like inflatable Santa Claus or inflatable reindeer, so that people can really just enjoy this while they go past the houses. And it's very popular in the US. I think it's becoming more popular in the UK too, to decorate your house in this way, just to show people that you are in the festive spirit and hopefully bring joy to some people. In the run-up to Christmas as well, this is a time to get your presents for family and friends. Now, at the moment, what we're doing is something called Secret Santa, where we all put our names into, it's online now, and basically, if there's 6 of you in the family, you each have to get one person a present. So it randomly selects the person that you have to get the present for. And this takes some of the stress away because you don't have to buy a present for everyone. It makes it easier as well. And then you get the present for the person, they open it, and then everyone tries to figure out, to work out, to calculate who got whose present. This Secret Santa is really popular in office workspaces as well. So people tend to do that at the office. On the whole, I buy my gifts right at the last minute when I need to. So, for example, if you shop online, you have a certain amount of time when you can buy the present so that it gets delivered on time. As of recording, I have done my shopping for this year. I've bought all of the Christmas presents I need to buy. So this is actually quite early for me, but I only did it yesterday. So things will come through, or some things came through today and some things are going to come tomorrow. When I was younger, I used to go carol singing, which means we used to sing different types of Christmas carols. And I did this at first in the community as a way to just bring people joy, as part, I think, of the local church. And then when I got a little bit older, my friends and I used to go to house for hours during the evening, most days leading up to Christmas, to go carol singing to earn some more money. So we would knock on somebody's door, they would open it, we would start singing a Christmas carol, and then they would bring some money out to us once we had finished. Schools in both the US and the UK break up for Christmas, which means that they take a break, to break up for summer, to break up for spring, to break up for Christmas. So I remember the last few days of school, people used to get really excited because you didn't have school for a couple of weeks and you had Christmas coming up. And most kids that I know loved Christmas. I know I did, my friends did, my sister did. And the last few days of school were always a little bit easier. Sometimes we would watch a movie in class. We would do some kind of party games, have some fun, maybe do some extra sport activities, because it was very difficult to focus at that time because everyone was just so excited about the Christmas holidays. And then when we broke up, we used to just spend some time at home. When I got older, I would go downtown or to the town centre and go shopping for Christmas presents. And Christmas is also a really good time for movies. There are movies on TV throughout the day. And this is probably one of the biggest differences, because when I was growing up, we didn't have Netflix or any online TV. We only really had 5 TV channels, but most of them played Christmas movies and different types of movies throughout the day. So this was in the lead up to Christmas, the first few days before Christmas, on Christmas Day, on Boxing Day, which I'll talk about in a second, and throughout, right until we went back to school. So New Year's Eve too. Now I found a list with the biggest Christmas movies in terms of ticket sales, and number 1 is The Grinch. There's also A Christmas Carol. Elf is on the list. The Holiday. The Santa Claus. I think out of those, I like The Polar Express. If you like comedy, try Elf. Elf, E-L-F. A lot of people like this movie. I think it's quite good. I'm not a massive fan of it. And if you like romantic comedies, then The Holiday is a good one to watch. And this will give you a good idea of what Christmas is like in the US and the UK, because it shows both of those countries during Christmas time. Now, Christmas Day. This depends on where you live and what your family traditions are, but most children wake up and they'll find their stocking. Now, this is a sock filled with small presents and fun stuff, and it's usually at the end of their bed. Sometimes it's by a fireplace. So this is like the start of it, where the children will wake up and they can open up these presents on their own. And then Christmas morning, some people go to church. Other people will go for a walk in the morning, maybe watch some TV. Getting outside a lot of the time depends on the weather. A big thing is to have a white Christmas. So a white Christmas is when it snows during Christmas. Now, those who have Christmas during the summer never get this experience in their own country. I remember one Christmas when it was snowy in the UK. We had a snowy Christmas here last year, but we weren't home. We were, I think, in Florida at the time on the beach. We spent some Christmases in Florida where it's really sunny and warm. And but to get a white Christmas is important for some people. It just brings about that magic of Christmas. I think most people open their presents up before lunchtime. So before lunch, people will open up their presents. And then one of the biggest things for Christmas Day is Christmas dinner. Now, Ricky Gervais said, the Sunday roast is the king of dinners, and Christmas dinner is a king of Sunday roast, which means that in the UK, on most Sundays, a lot of people will have a traditional Sunday roast, where they'll roast or cook some type of meat, beef, turkey, ham, etc., maybe chicken, with roast potatoes, vegetables, sometimes a Yorkshire pudding, and gravy. My parents used to make a Sunday roast every Sunday. It was just something we always had on a Sunday. But then Christmas dinner is like this, but it's a little extra special. Now, not everyone likes turkey. I find it okay. It's not the best meat in the world, but it's fine. But everyone in the UK has a turkey for the Sunday roast. But again, it's roast potatoes, and Brussels sprouts is very traditional. And different types of vegetables, gravy, cranberry sauce, which is taking cranberries and making a sauce from this. And then you all sit down in a more formal way than you normally have dinner. And then in the UK, it's very common to have crackers, Christmas crackers, which are these things that you have, and you grab one end of it and someone else grabs the other end, and it makes a popping noise when it breaks. And then you either end up with the big part or the little part. And if you have the big part, you get some stuff in there, usually a toy, a joke, and then a Christmas crown, like a little hat to put on during Christmas dinner. People generally eat and sometimes drink too much for Christmas dinner, and usually the dad has a nap at this stage, a nap on the sofa, while everyone else watches more Christmas movies. So again, usually the family is all together watching the same movie, having the same type of experience. Children tend to stay up late on Christmas Day as well, to stay up late, which is a phrasal verb, so that they can just enjoy the day a little bit more. But then Boxing Day. Boxing Day. My favourite day of the year, which isn't celebrated in the US, but it is in the UK, and I think in Canada as well. And it's just the day after Christmas. And I think Boxing Day comes from a tradition where factory owners would give their workers a box on the day after Christmas full of stuff, little presents, jam, stuff like that. I used to work for a company that did this as well. They gave us a Christmas hamper full of local products, usually food, jam, honey, cheese, etc. And then in the UK, this is mainly celebrated by having parties, buffet style. And this is where people have the leftover turkey, and then they'll use other things as well to create a buffet where people can just get their own plate of food. It's more informal Boxing Day. People feel a little bit more relaxed because Christmas can be quite stressful for those who plan it and cook dinner. So Boxing Day is a lot more relaxed. It's also a big day for football, as in soccer. And most teams get their biggest attendance of the year on Boxing Day. So if your team is playing at home, most people who normally go to a soccer game will go on that day. So usually they get their biggest attendances of the year, even though the weather can be quite bad. And again, everyone's in a good mood. Christmas is over. The stress, because Christmas can be stressful with presents and making sure everyone has the right food and that you got the right food in. shops are closed, you can't go out to get something. So on Boxing Day, it's like a release. Everyone's had a good Christmas, they've eaten too much, but they're ready to party again the next day. There are a few other things I want to talk about, including gifts. Now, the way that children receive gifts is through Santa Claus, who is this figure, this guy from the North Pole. He has some elves who creates the presents, who makes the gifts for the children. He has reindeer, which he uses to help him fly through the air. He has Mrs. Claus as well to give him help. And on Christmas Eve, he sets off, puts all the toys in his sleigh, which he sits in while the reindeer take him around. And then he goes to every child in the world, goes on their rooftop, down the chimney, and leaves the gifts under the Christmas tree. Now you might be wondering, is Santa Claus real? Is he real? Well, he is if you believe in him. Now we did spend some time in Spain, and one area of Spain was the Basque Country in Bilbao. And I remember when I was there, people told us about Olenchero. And this is a character in the Basque Country who comes to town late at night on the 24th of December to drop off presents for children. Now, in some places, he comes a little bit later. And there are many traditions to this. And it's interesting because he looks like a person, like a very traditional Basque figure who wears these traditional clothing. And also I forget what it's called, the hat that people in the Basque Country wear. But throughout the world, there are different types of stories and traditions based on something similar to Santa. And I wonder if you've got one where you live. So that's all about the different traditions and the main traditions when it comes to Christmas in the UK and the US. And like I said before, a lot of it depends on where you live and the weather. So for people who get a white Christmas, a snowy Christmas, it does feel really magical. But I did spend some time in Florida during Christmas, like I said, and it's just amazing to go swimming in the ocean on Christmas Day. So I hope you found this episode interesting, especially if you don't celebrate Christmas or don't know much about it. There is obviously a lot of religious aspects to this, but I just wanted to talk more about the culture and the traditions and what people do, generally speaking, and what I remember people doing when it came to Christmas. Now, if you have enjoyed this episode, like I said before, the best thing you can do is to like it if there is a like button and to share it with a friend. So just click that little share button and send it to somebody that you know. And then subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. We release a new episode every Thursday, and I just want to put this out there that it's coming to the end of the year. We started the podcast officially this year, and it's had close to 200,000 downloads now on podcast apps. That doesn't include YouTube. So thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for your support, and help me by growing this podcast even further by, again, sharing it with your friends. So I hope you have a wonderful time. If you want to learn a little bit more English with me, click on another episode, or if you're on the YouTube channel, click on the playlist, and I will speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye for now.